And now, CCW News presents Holy Crap, This Is Actually Happening! Banana Republic Edition, August 14th, 2022. I'm Chuck U. Farley. The big news this week is the DNC's weaponization of the FBI, DOJ, and IRS against any and all of its political opponents. OMG. Pravda spokesperson Jean-Pierre Diversity Hire swore up, down, and sideways that no one in the regime knew anything about the FBI raid, which we've been instructed that we're not allowed to call a raid, on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. She was once again proven a liar the very next day when Attorney General and TDS sufferer Merrick Garland bragged that not only did he personally sign off on it, but the commander-in-chief was briefed weeks before while in his basement recovering from his third go-round of the Rona. The leftist press, after naming anyone who saw this tyrannical travesty for what it was, conspiracy theorists, proceeded to say that Trump should be executed for his many non-crimes that he hasn't been indicted for because none of them are indictable crimes. Any independents or conservatives that pointed out how preposterous this was were immediately labeled extremists and censored off of social media for having the temerity to speak ill of the corrupt FBI. And just like that, liberals were suddenly pro-police. The Washington Post cited unnamed sources in their made-up report that the raid, during which the FBI busted padlocks to get into the file boxes that they had months ago ordered be padlocked, might have been in search of nuclear documents, because everyone knows that in the 21st century, important nuclear secrets are kept on paper in boxes behind a padlock at some old orange billionaire's house. All other news outlets reported on the WAPO report as if WAPO and its unnamed sources had magically become a credible news source. The feds also riffled through Melania's clothing in search of anything that might fit Rachel Levine because, they reported, that dude has no fashion sense at all. Now that the feds can come after pretty much anyone for pretty much anything, including their panties, the regime has voted themselves a $46 billion budget to hire 87,000 armed and combat-trained IRS agents to chase down Etsy sellers and kids with lemonade stands. Speaking of absolutely ridiculous ways to steal and then waste our tax dollars, a CBS documentary revealed that most of the literally billions of dollars the U.S. sent to Ukraine to bolster the illusion that we are not at war with Russia did not actually make it into the hands of Ukrainian soldiers or aid for Ukrainian refugees. While it did make its way into the hands of notoriously and historically corrupt Ukrainian officials, many of whom have portraits of their favorite Biden operative on their walls, only an average of 30% actually made its way to the intended recipients. The revelation caused an uproar until CBS was forced to change their story to match the officially allowed propaganda. Speaking of tyrannical censorship, a member of the Religion of Peace was almost able to deliver on the 33-year-old fatwa decreed by the former Ayatollah Khomeini to take out novelist Salman Rushdie by storming the stage at one of his lectures and stabbing him in the neck, arm, and abdomen. The author is still in critical condition, but is awake and able to speak. Rushdie is one of many authors, artists, and translators who have fatwas against them for the mere mention of a certain violent, misogynistic, pedophilic prophet, peace be upon him. Being that we are not a run-by-a-dictator socialist Republic of America, some southern states are exercising their constitutional rights by pushing back on dear leaders' open border orders. In effort to alleviate the overtaxed migrant facilities, many running at over 200% capacity, Texas has been busing illegals to D.C. while building a makeshift border wall with shipping containers, instead of using said containers to traffic humans across the border as Biden desires. This week, Arizona's governor issued his own executive order to fill in the Yuma gap that was being fixed before the fortified election opened the borders and flooded the immediate area with hundreds of thousands of invaders from all over the world. With the lifting of the Remain in Mexico policy this week, even Mexico is angry that so many are trampling through to get to the U.S. border. But if there is one thing we have learned, we are not allowed to call this invasion an invasion, just as we can't call the raid on Trump's home a raid. For CCW News, this has been Holy Crap, This Is Actually Happening. I'm Chuck U. Farley. Good night, and may God help us.